What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another cash game review session. Today we have a very special guest. It's Adam22, who some of you will recognize as the host of the No Jumper podcast. I stream these reviews live on Twitch every Monday at 6 o'clock UK time, 6 PM GMT. I'll leave a link for Twitch in the description and Discord as well. If you want your own session reviewed, guys, I do these for anyone. Just join the Discord and there's a section that lets you know how to go about it. If you enjoy the content, guys, please do subscribe to the channel. It will take you 2 seconds. Just click the little FTO watermark in the bottom corner. And if you can make it to the end of this video, guys, you're in for a treat. There is a hand which is in the top 10 most insane hands I've ever seen in poker. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. This is 50 Blitz on ACR, which I'm sure you guys will have seen me play before. And we will get into it. So, start for 37 suited versus a 4x versus a guy playing like 20 big blinds. So, obviously just fold or shove. Honestly, there's actually arguments to shove here. I won't talk about spots like this too much anyway, just because, like, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, you're not going to come across this spot often. It's going to depend on how the player plays. Only in 7 hands here, but they're playing 43% BPIP, so they could just be a complete moron. The spots like that are kind of like, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're not completely punting. We go to, I assume, a 3-bet pot blind on blind here with ace 10. Check back, which seems pretty reasonable. So I'll know this pool reasonably well as well, because obviously I've been playing a lot of 50 Blitz recently. I haven't seen this video before, as like you'll all know, I don't watch the video beforehand, so that's so I don't like, because if I watch the video and then see the hands and stuff like that and then go back to it and talk over it, it's going to affect my decisions, and it's going to affect how I think about the hand if I already know what the outcome is, basically. Would you like some dressing for that word salad? Go fuck yourself. So we go to a turn, and we're going for a bet now with the ace 10, which seems okay. It's a little bit of a sketchy turn. I guess there's a lot to get value from, and honestly, on ACR, I think at these stakes in general, people are going to play pretty face up. So, like, you know, they're going to bet a lot of their good hands on the turn here. They will go for some check raises with, you know, hands like nutted hands, like King Jack or like pocket queens or pocket tens if they were to have those. But a lot of the time, you're just going to see a bet from the top pairs, the 2 pairs, stuff like that, as well as our bluffs. So I don't mind betting the size. There's still a shitload of hands that want to continue. 10 Jack, King 10, stuff like that. I think like King Queen and stuff are going to bet pretty often. It calls pretty quickly. The river comes to deuce. So yeah, I think just checking back, depending on player here, you can definitely consider betting for value and betting for a big size. There's players here that, like, I will assume never to have a queen, never to have really strong hands. And so, like, there are players where I am honestly just have the best hand 90% of the time. I think chopping a lot. But there's going to be players that, like, are actually playing balance, right? That are still going to have some strong hands and still going to have, like, a lot of better hands than ace 10. So I think we just have to check if you don't know the opponent. Hands we'll lose to. We might lose to some queen jack suited and stuff like that. Weak queen X. Other than that, I think we're going to beat hands like king 10 pretty often. And yeah, just checking back seems pretty reasonable. Chopping, yeah. I did say that chopping was pretty reasonable. And it seems pretty reasonable from both players. Anyway, we're picking up the ace king. Hijack opens, cut off 3 bets. We go for the cold 4 bet, which seems pretty reasonable here. 25 big blinds seems like an okay size. Really good board for our range. This is just a board. King 8 deuce is a really perfect example of a disconnected board where there are no straight draws. Obviously, there's a flush draw here, but there's no straight draws. If you look at something like a king 2 5, it is still relatively disconnected, but there's still ace 3, ace 4 in there that are going to have like gut shots and stuff like that. So this is just it's such a good board for us as well, king high boards. We have aces and kings. Villain just doesn't. This is a board I'm just going to bet a third with my entire range on. Maybe a quarter pot if you're going to have small bets, but betting seems pretty reasonable. Not having the ace of clubs is good as well, just because villain can have hands like ace queen of clubs, ace 10 of clubs, which are obviously going to continue. So when we see bet and we take it down. Ace queen we open, and we get an ace high board, pretty reasonable. So you can have different strategies on this kind of board texture. I think that a lot of players will just kind of go for like a small bet with like range on a lot of boards. On a board like this, where it's like really good for us and there's like a bit more going on, you know, there's a flush draw obviously, but there's a lot of gut shots. Well, there are a lot of gut shots. There's like 3 4 4 5, queen 10, king 10, king queen. So even though it's like it doesn't look that much different than a king 8 deuce. There is just a lot more going on. So on a board like this, I'm probably just going bigger as well. With like a good portion of my range, I'm being a bit more polar. Like I'm not gonna bet all my jack X here and stuff like that. When you're on a king 8 deuce, if you value betting, you can value bet like super wide. So you can value bet like, you know, top pairs, second pairs, and some other stuff. Here, you're probably not gonna value bet pocket tens or like jack 10 and stuff like that. So you can go bigger and just be a bit more polar. And we get a pretty perfect turn card, really. He's not going to have many 2x hands. There are some, like King 2 suited and stuff like that. Like King 2 of hearts, which can continue with a backdoor flush draw, Queen 2 of hearts. But he shouldn't really have hands like 2-4 of spades, for example. They should just fold on the flop, if they even defend pre-flop. So this is just a really perfect turn card for us where we can just carry on barreling, because we still have a huge advantage on this board, right? He doesn't really have ace-king. Ace-jack's probably going to raise the flop. Jacks, I think that GTO might flat a little bit in these positions, but still probably going to check raise the flop. So we're going to have hands like aces, ace-king, ace-jack, pocket jacks a lot. So we want to just like completely punish his range here. So this is a spot in GTO where there will be overbets a lot, I'm pretty sure. I'll actually have a look at this spot in a minute. From seeing here, the buttons, there's no overbet button, which isn't unreasonable. I always say, like, as you're starting out and as you're moving up the stakes, overbetting is not even, like, it's not necessary as such. It is if you're playing a GTO strategy where I'm pretty sure on this turn it'll be overbet or check. And, like, you know, we don't have to overbet all our ace-x, like ace-5 and stuff can just check back here. But this, obviously, we have a better hand than the board. So if he has an ace, he's not going to have ace-king or ace-queen, or it's unlikely he's going to have those hands, then he's going to chop with other ace-x, whereas he's not chopping with ace-king and ace-queen. So these are the hands where we want to be overbetting, as well as like pocket jacks is obviously a really good hand to overbet as well. Villain calls and river comes in eights, and ace-8 is possible. I don't know if ace-8 offsuit should be defended in a GTO sense. Ace-8 suited for sure. And so there's two combos of it. And yeah, just betting big here. Now, it kind of depends on what kind of strategy you want to have here as well, because if I overbet the turn, we could overbet the river, and I would overbet the river against regs because my bluffs I'm going to overbet as well, so I'm just going to go all in. So I would have overbet the turn, there'd be a bit more in, and then I'm just going to 2x pot shove the river. And then my hands like, I don't know, something like Queen 10, I think would be a pretty good bluff, or like Queen 8 of clubs if we have it open in this position, which we don't. Something like Queen 10, not of clubs, would be good because we'd block ace queen, which is one of his strongest ace-x here. Well, his strongest ace-x that isn't two pair. And we want to unblock the flush draw as well. Like, he can have hands like 10 jack of clubs, jack 7 of clubs, king jack of clubs. All of those are going to call flop and turn, and then potentially fold river. So the strategy that I would have a strategy where I overbet the turn and then 2x pot the river. The problem is that when you do that, most players are just going to fold all their ace-x anyway, right? I'd be doing that against regs that are competent and know that I'm going to have a lot of bluffs because they are forced to call with hands like ace-5, ace-4, stuff like that, or whatever. We'll check in GTO Wizard. And if they're folding those, that's good for me because then I get away with murder when I just bluff the shit out of them. So anyway, as played, just betting big. Just like 3/4 pot, something like that. Most players aren't capable of folding an ace. Yeah, just he's going to have like a hand like ace 10 that calls a lot, I'd hope. And he probably, I don't know if he'd shove ace 8 here, if he had ace 8. I'm probably bet folding this hand. Show me ace 10. Ace 4, yeah. I actually think his call is fine. If we're going to have hero calls in his position, I think hands like ace 4 of diamonds possibly perform better. I think something like ace 7 or ace 6 suited. Because bluffs here, like obvious bluffs for flop and turn for me would be hands like, you know, gut shots, flush draws and stuff like that. So something like 4-5 suited. Like I would triple barrel 4-5 of diamonds here. Once I bet the flop, if I decide to bet the turn, I'm always going to barrel the river with 5 high because I'm 31 years old and my parents brought me up better than that. So I'm always going to barrel hands like that. So if you have like ace 6 or ace 7 of diamonds, you unblock everything. You unblock like all the gut shots like queen 10, king queen, king 10, and then you unblock 4-5 and 3-4. Not that we're going to have 3-4 suited, but you unblock even 4-5 suited as well, which is for me would be a mandatory triple. So yeah, seems pretty standard anyway. Right, okie dokie. So opens under the gun. And the big blind calls, and we go to an ace, jack, deuce. So big blind is going to be checking range here, which makes sense. Won't talk too much about leads. So it does have like different sizings on the flop here. It's going to depend on what you use And like I say, you can have different strategies here. So this doesn't have the small bet really on this type of board texture, which isn't surprising to me. And so it's checking half the time and then utilizing big bets, you know, half pot or bigger half the time. So ace queen here is primarily big bet in better looks. I think it's about 75%. It's doing that most of the time. A little bit of overbet, a little bit of the smaller bet, which is going to be half pot and sometimes checking. And we went for the big bet. We went for basically about this size. Villain, I can't imagine has too many raises here. Yeah, overall raising 7.5%. They do have ace jack and twos. They are obviously the strongest hand. Jacks as well, actually a reasonable amount of the time, jacks. But it's mainly using this hand as a trap, which is kind of okay. I think it's pretty reasonable here. So it is raising some of the time though, but like I say, raising 7% overall. To be honest, against certain opponents, I just wouldn't raise this flop ever, just because I just know that certain opponents will just love to barrel the shit out of it, especially on, like, you know, when I was talking before about the, like, if I have 4 or 5 of diamonds, I might triple and then overbet turn and shove river. You don't really want to, you know, raise too much against those kind of opponents, I don't think, you know, if they're just going to blast when they know they've got range advantage. In any case, villain calls, and the turn comes a deuce. I'm pretty sure it's a diamond. So they do have ace 2 suited. They do have, yeah, okay. So what I was saying earlier is that they're not going to have deuce 4 of spades. They only have deuce 4 with the backdoor flush draw against the bigger sizes. Doesn't actually have king 2 suited or queen 2 suited here in GTO land. I mean, I'm never folding king 2 of hearts on this flop with a backdoor flush draw. It's just using these ones, it's only calling these ones which have a backdoor flush and a backdoor straight draw, which is pretty interesting against a bigger size. In any case, let me guess, overbet central, yeah. So overbet or check here, which in a GTO sense. Like I say, I don't think it's bad to bet 75%, especially against players that, honestly, with a hand like ace queen, just bet big. Like, I think that people massively overfold to overbet. So if anything, just overbet your bluffs. Ace queen is mixing here. So ace jack, for example, ace king, they are always overbetting. Ace jack probably much better as well, because if they have jacks at a pretty high frequency, then, you know, we want to block that. Ace king is obviously the nut ace, and villain will have ace queen, which obviously you dominate, so ace king is going to have a higher EV. But yeah, overbet or check, which makes sense. Doing either is fine. And this is where it gets fun for villain in a GTO sense, because they kind of are in a spot now where none of their hands, apart from their obvious like full houses, like their jacks and ace 2 suited, are very good. Like, all of their ace-x suited here is basically 0 EV. Ace 10, ace 9, ace 8. Apparently, ace 3 suited it really likes, for whatever reason. I guess it'll unblock a certain amount of bluffs. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, because we wouldn't have 3-4 suited, but we'd have 4-5 suited, right? And so the 3 and the 6 especially are like completely unblocking like any of our bluffs. And I think that in these spots as well, when I said, you know, I'm not going to raise ace jack a lot on the flop, or I'm not always going to raise deuces, I think it means that you have an easier decision on turns like this, because if you know you're just going to call ace jack on the flop, pocket 2s on the flop, pocket jacks on the flop, then you know that like you're going to have some strong hands on this turn. So if you 2x pots the turn, you don't need to call all of these 0 EV hands, right? These are only calling like 25% of the time. You can just fold all of them because you know that you're going to have better hands here. We also defend all of our jack X of clubs as well, because it actually has higher EV, because it's easier to improve to a flush. So yeah, it's a really tough spot when regs do this, and that's why overbetting can be like so fucking good. Villain calls, and then the river was the 8 of spades. The 8 of spades. The villain have a little bit of ace 8, so they do have ace 8 offsuit as well. And yeah, this is like, so it's got 86% bet, 86% pot bet, or 2x pot all in. And 2x pot all in. Ace queen is actually pure checking, which is pretty interesting. I guess it's just not good enough to get called by worse. Yeah, again, so these hands are kind of mixing, you know, these ones. Ace 3 suited now is just not loving life. And even ace 8 wants to fold here, but I guess that's because we're not shoving ace queen now at all. Yeah, so I think this is a really fun spot to bluff. Like, if we look at what our bluffs are, 4 or 5 suited, and we're shoving a bit of king 10, we're shoving a bit of jack 10, which is interesting, because I'm surprised we overbet the turn with jack 10. Jack 8 suited, if we overbet the turn with that, we're going to shove the river. Some fucking king 5 of spades, king 6 of spades, king 7 of diamonds. Kind of a nonsense spot, really. You're not going to see a lot of these hands, to be fair. It depends on, again, it depends massively on your opponent. You'll get some people that'll fucking just shove their entire missed range. And then some people that just won't take this line at all and just only bet like fucking super nutted hands. Anyway, the main reason I wanted to check this was just the turn bet. Like, I think betting big, I think big bets on the turn is absolutely fine. Betting like 75% and just having like that kind of more basic strategy, right? Where you're just betting big on the turn and big on the river with a hand like ace queen. I think that's absolutely fine. If you want to play very, very close to GTO, you will, most of you that follow GTO and try to stick to it will know that turn is going to be over battle check. And ace queen does mix, but yeah, over betting, pretty reasonable. Here we go. Something I can fucking... This isn't the worst thing ever, I guess. Cut off versus button. Just a6 suited is really not a good hand. I want to see if GTO ever does anything here with a6 suited. No, yeah. So, again, you know, when we talk to 100 big blind cash games, you look at these hands, and I can't believe, like, look at what the cutoff's opening in terms of, like... Is this right? Like, it's barely even opening 5-6 suited from the cutoff. Like, these kind of hands, they just really don't have that much value. Suited ace-x hands are decent in, like, live cash games or, like, super deep games. Like, your value will go up with suited aces when you are deeper. These ones especially are just a bit shit. So it's never using any of these as a call, for example, or ace-3 or ace-deuce. Ace-5 suited, it loves. Ace-5, ace-4, ace-3 are a bit similar because, you know, they have wheel possibilities. Ace-6, ace-7 don't, and neither does ace-8. Ace-9 has just a bit more high card value with the 9, because, you know, like hitting a pair of 9s, it can be top pair a lot, whereas hitting a pair of 6s, it's not going to be top pair, and when it is, it's going to be 3 to a straight. Yeah, it doesn't really like these hands, so as a general rule of thumb, I would just be folding this. And this is a position where we're going to have, like, a reasonable amount of 4-bets, right? Like, pot off versus button, 4-betting, like nearly a quarter of our range, which is pretty wild. Like, pocket 8s, it's 4-betting, you know? So, yeah, just mock this pro. And I'm hoping this is just going to be a check fold on this board. And this is why, like, you know, a6 is shit here, because we have a backdoor flush draw. We have the backdoor nut flush draw. But if we have ace-10, ace-9, something like that, like, especially when we have, obviously, the suited, the Broadway, sorry, suited ace-x, we can hit straight draws, you know? Ace-10 suited is actually this is a really good flop for ace-10 suited. But ace-6 suited, it's complete garbage. Like, ace-10 suited, we can probably check raise. Ace-6 suited, we can do nothing but fold. So that'll be a mistake in the long run. And I wish I'd have seen you squeeze this. I think this is just such a good spot to squeeze. This is kind of... So if we're looking at GTO here, I don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to just depend on what the small blind flatten range is, which isn't going to be a very big range. So in spots like this, it's kind of, you know, when you go multi-way, especially, it's going to be more exploitative. For example, actually here, it doesn't have any calls in the small blind at this rake structure, or very, very few. So the big blind, I mean, it is just calling some of the time, 3-betting some of the time, but it'll do the same versus just the open. I think this is just a really good spot to squeeze. This is just never going to be a good hand. He can be opening super wide. Just 3-betting here is just going to make a lot of money. When you call here as well, you are going 3-way. Going back to talking about equity realization, it's harder to realize equity when you multi-way, just as it is out of position, and you're going to be out of position to one player, and you're going to be sandwiched in between. So sometimes he bets. Let's say he just donks the flop. You've got to then make a decision knowing that there is somebody else to make a decision behind you, right? So it's just really tough. So I think this just a really good hand to 3-bet, I think, to squeeze in this spot. It's just really awkward 3-way. Even now is awkward, you know? Like, we've got a second pair, and it's gone back call. Like, probably calling because we have the backdoor flush draw, and we turn a flush draw. Definitely just checking, don't want to lead. You know, from a theoretical sense, we definitely don't want to lead on a board that's not very good for us. From a practical sense, we just don't want to lead. It doesn't make any sense. Goes check, 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 though. And then the river bricks. And so here's a good example, you know. Let's say we had... Even if this was top pair, it's still pretty difficult. If this guy bets here, he could bluff some, like, 10 jacks, some queen 10s, you know, some random shit, I don't know. And it's very difficult for us to call with a player left to act. So, whereas heads up, it's going to be a lot easier to call if we were to choose to call this one. As played, yeah, just check. This is a spot where you can't bet for value. Like, it's too thin to bet for value, and your hand's probably too good to turn into a bluff. And by too good to turn into a bluff, it doesn't matter if, like, these guys have a better hand than you. You can't really target that many hands apart from king queen that might fold. So there's just no point bluffing this. You wanted to bluff, maybe bluff something like 6-7 suited, something like that, where I don't know, you block some 2 pairs or some shit, and you know you're quite low down in your range. But even that's not really recommended 3-way. So I think just checking. And we're gonna lose to ace-9 suited. So it'd be interesting to see what would have happened if you'd a 3-bet. You know, maybe this guy calls and then he overcalls. Maybe he folds and he calls. Maybe it even goes fold. This guy looks like pretty snug, really, to be honest. So, king 3 suited we defend, flipping a flush draw. Just check, which is pretty interesting. Ace on the turn. I wouldn't hate a check raise here. We go for the big bet, which I don't mind. I think that when, in a GTO sense, we have a lot of overbets here when we do bet because of what we're representing. So this is a really bad card for us. Like, he's going to have more ace-x, especially when he checks back the flop. He's going to have a lot of ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack. So when we are betting, we need to, we kind of are saying that we have a really strong hand, you know, that we can beat some ace-x hands that he's going to have. So I think GTO will use overbets in a sense. And this river just has to be a fist pump give up. Yeah. The thing is, we have king high as well, which has a little, probably not now, but it does have a little bit of showdown. And here's the thing, like, he's probably not going to have hands like pocket 8s or pocket 7s, right? This is actually a really good hand to kind of like discuss how you need to approach poker on the river. So we need to consider what's happened pre-flop, on the flop, on the turn, and on the river, right? So we need to go back to pre-flop and see what's happened, and he's raised in middle position, and we've called. On the flop, it's gone check. On the turn, we've bet, he's called. On the river, we have checked. On the river, we're making our decision. This is a spot where, if we look back to the flop, he's probably not going to have hands like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, because he's almost definitely going to bet that on the flop, right? You know, he's got an overpair, he wants to get value, he wants to protect his hand. On the turn, we've bet, and he's called on an ace. He can have a lot of ace-x that checks back the flop, so we can have a lot of aces on the turn, right? Could have like ace-10, ace-queen, ace-jack, ace-6 suited, stuff like that. And on the river, if we consider what his range is going to consist of, there's a lot of good hands. He might also have some flush draws that decided to check back the flop. It's possible, right? He could have like queen jack of diamonds, 10 jack of diamonds. I think most of those are going to favor a bet. On the turn, we probably fold out hands like, well, we do. We'll fold out hands like 10-9 of spades, jack 10 of spades, stuff like that. So when we actually consider what his range looks like, when we consider every previous street, it's going to contain just so many ace-x. Just an unbelievable amount of ace-x. Also, king high has showdown. Probably not with the line that's been taken and how it's gone down. But, like, you know, if you wanted to bluff, I don't know, maybe something like 6-4 suited, I'd be more okay with it because, you know, maybe he's got king queen that floats the turn. Maybe he still has some, like, king 10 of diamonds, which are going to be put in a spot. You know, maybe he still has some queen highs. This is just an absolute fist pump give up, as Bornin in the chat says. Slapping a set, though. Checking, I like it. And yeah, just check folding the king through. Had it gone down slightly differently, we could consider calling river with king high, but like definitely not like this. So 6s here going for a check raise. I do a lot of checking out of position, and you'll notice that GTO Wizard will as well. So let's have a look at this queen 6-4. I've noticed on some boards are actually just pure checks, which I was really surprised at. I don't know if this will be a pure check, but very close. 81% it checks, and then it has like some overbet, or like 62% bets. 6s mixing, but doing quite a lot of overbetting here. Out of position, I have a shitload of check in though. So, and this hand makes just a fantastic check raise on the flop. As played on turn, I'm probably just going to bet big. We can definitely have overbets here. I know GTO Wizard will pick overbets because when we do have our strong hands like pocket 6s, ace queen, or aces that are going to check raise or check call the flop, we want to get a lot of money in. And like kind of intuitively, you want to get loads of money in. So I think overbetting's fine. And he can have some 10x, some king jack, some ace jack, stuff like that that now have a straight draw. So I think overbetting would be pretty fine. And you can do some fun shit on the river. I don't mind just betting really big against a fun player, hoping he heroes you with a 10. So now we're going for an overbet. So I think this is actually fine. I also don't mind going for a check raise as well. See if he wants to bluff something like king jack, something like jack 9 suited, jack 8 suited. You know, see if we can get a bluff out of him and then shove. if he does have something like Queen 10 or like he trapped with a hand like Pocket 4s or he's just got a hand like Pocket 7s, he's going to bet anyway. I know Pocket 7s beats us. But I don't mind this. The guy seems like a fun player. He's not playing a full stack. You know, 50% VPIP. Probably going to get sticky with a 10. Maybe I'd just go for like 15, 16 big blinds, but I think this is fine. Ooh, he shoves. I think against a fish, we have to call here. And this sucks, but we beat value. If you're ever in a spot where you beat value and you beat bluffs, you just have to call on the river. I don't think many people will bluff here, and he definitely can have like 8-9 for the straight and pocket 7s. But in case he has like something like Queen 10 that was trapping, or Queen 7 suited, or pocket 4s, we just have to call. I expect to lose here quite often. But again, we look at the price we're getting, 65 into 121, close to 2 to 1. If we get 2 to 1, we need to be right 1 in 3 times. So, and against fish, you never know what'll happen. Look at the spot in my fucking YouTube video the other day. We called a flop, called the turn, then he bet the river, I raised the river, and he 3-bet shoved with King Jack high for nothing. So there are people that will just click fucking buttons. So yeah, kind of just got to sigh call this one off, and I honestly think we're going to lose to just 8-9 or pocket 7. Yeah, it's kind of like standard. You see it a lot, and honestly, there's a lot of fucking players that will only ever have the nuts because they're just such nits, and it makes me sad, and it ruins the game. But just click the fucking call button. Good luck to him. Sometimes you got to pay that man his money, and then get queens the next hand, and hopefully win it all back. There's a lot of nit regs in this pool. I actually hate this pool. I actually fucking hate this pool. I really do. I legitimately prefer playing in the 200 pool because at least it's more adult. So we ISO queens here, and again, this kind of board is like very sketchy for us if we were against big blind. Against a limp call under the gun, there's not really a range for that in a GTO sense, so you can kind of just play face up in these spots. When you're against fish, just play very face up and expect them to play face up, right? So this is a board I'm going to be very careful. If I'm against a big blind here and I've raised and I'm against a reg, I'm going to check this hand back at some frequency because I'm quite worried about how good this board is. But we don't really have to worry about fish getting 2 out of line and, you know, stuff like that. So we bet the flop. The turn, I don't hate betting, even though it's terrible. Again, against a fish, this is a kind of spot where there's still enough hands that a fish is going to call that's worse. Hands like 8-9 suited, 6-7 suited, right? Ace-9 of diamonds, stuff like that. So you can still actually get value from a lot of hands. I think checking back is absolutely fine as well. If you bet this turn, maybe it's better in a way to bet without a spade, because if you bet queens without a spade and you get raised, you can comfortably fold, right? You basically only have 2 outs to improve against anything that raises for value. Very unlikely you're going to see a check raise after a guy limp calls and check calls the flop as a bluff on the turn. But like when you have queens with the queen of spades, if you bet and get raised, you're in a really awkward spot because your hand has, you know, you've still got a flush draw as well as an overpair. So it's a bit more difficult to fold. So I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but against a fish, you can just fucking do what you want. Anyway, checking back is pretty reasonable. See the 4 of spades on the river. And this is interesting. We never fold. Oh, I think we are on the absolute cusp of what we want to raise. If I have the king of spades, I'm always going to raise versus this size. If I have the ace of spades, it's a no-brainer raise. I think you can go either way. Either call or raise. If I have jacks with a jack of spades, call. Kings with a king of spades, raise. Queens with a queen of spades, either or. I think most players, what they'll do, they'll play the hand very face up when they're fun players, right? Ignoring bluffs. If they like bet like pot or like overbet, they're going to have some full houses and not flushes. When they bet this kind of size, generally speaking, I think they're weighted towards more marginal hands, such as like pocket 8s with the 8 of spades, or like 10 jack with the jack of spades. Something not nutted, but that wants to put money in. So I would say I would say you can raise this against most fun players that play like this and still get value from worse. But yeah, I think it. Okay, he's just got ace king off. Queen 10 suited, we defend. We flop a flush draw, and villain bets big. Okay, we're gonna go for the check raise. I like it. I'm okay with this. Villain calls. The turn comes an 8, and I really want to see what you do here, because I think I know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, baby. What a fucking adult. What an adult you are, Adam. I like it. So, okay. I'm not going to see what he calls with yet. We're going to go back and discuss this hand. So on the flop, we go for the check raise. I think something to be said is that you've got to be careful about how often you check raise this flop. And I want to see what GTO Wizard does here on the flop. 7-9-4. So we check. Villain goes for the big bet, which they're doing, yeah, some of the time. And let's have a look what we want to raise with. So for value, we've got 9-7, 7s, 4s, obviously. We're going to have some ace-9 suited, ace-9 offsuit, which makes sense. Tiny bit of king-9, but not too much of it. 9s, if I didn't already say 9s. And then what we're check raising for bluffs here, we're going to have a reasonable amount of flush draws. So we can have like king 5, queen 5, queen 6, king 6, stuff like that. It's actually raising these quite a lot, but if you look at the percentage in terms of how often we're raising the frequency, it's about 50-50, right? With these hands. If you always raise all of your flush draws, you're going to be insanely over bluffing because for value, we don't really have that much, right? We don't really have the overpairs. We don't have pocket 10s, jacks, queens, kings, or aces because we just flattered pre-flop. Our best hand is going to be pocket 9s, obviously, but in terms of like one pair hands, it's going to be ace-9. We don't have an insane amount for value. We can have like 10-9, you know, hands that have like a load of equity, but we don't exactly like, you know, smash this board with a shitload of value. If this was 9-7-5, it's actually probably better because then we have 6-8 suited, so we have 4 combos of flop straights as well. So if we just raise all of our flush draws here, we're going to raise way too much, really, right? In a GTO sense, at least. So we start by using our best bluffs. Our best bluffs are going to be 10-8 of clubs, which isn't actually even always raising here, but we have an open ender as well as a flush draw. Jack 8 of clubs. We've got an overcard, we've got a gut shot, and we have a flush draw. And then queen 10, we have the backdoor straight draws and 2 overs and a flush draw. And obviously the ace-x ones, we have the nut flush draw. But it's actually raising the nut flush draw less often here than other hands. So I think if you raise all your flush draws here, you're going to be raising too much. Anyway, we go for the raise, and I like it. And then the turn comes an 8. And we barrel again. We've now got an open ender and a flush draw. And a jack gives us the nuts as well. The only problem we're betting here is it sucks if he shoves. We're probably still calling. But this card is good for us. We can have, you know, as we said, like we can have like 10 jack of clubs. We could have 10 jack of hearts as well, which is going to raise at a frequency. We can have 5-6 of clubs and 5-6 of hearts. This card, when it brings in straights, is generally going to be pretty good for us. The other advantage of having a 10 is that we block 10 jack. We block the nuts here. And even 10-6 as well. So 10-6 of clubs we could have. So not only do we have like, not only do we improve a lot on this turn, we actually block his strongest hands. We now block the nuts. So going for the bet on the turn is fine. And the river pairs the 7. Villain isn't going to have too many 7x here because they've called flop and turn. You know, maybe they're going to have like 7-8 suited and stuff, but this takes out some of those combos, right? It takes out, so if he has 7-8 suited, he can now only have 7-8 of spades. So we're going to have some full houses here, you know, 4s, 9s, 9-7. We're going to have pocket 7s as well for quads, and we're going to have some straights who want to go all in for value. Not only that, not having the ace of clubs, because he can still have like hands like ace-5 of clubs, right? Like ace-x of clubs is going to see the river, like always, because they've got the nut flush draw. So we unblock that as well. We can have these straights in our hand. We block the straights. We're going to have a shitload for value. And, you know, going back to what I was saying about being, you know, I construct my bluffs at bottom of range. How many worse hands, realistically, do we have than queen high? Not many, right? I'm fucking all in. I like it. And the sizing that we went for on flop and turn leaves us exactly pot as well. So I actually really like the sizing scheme. But I really like this. Big fan of it. I don't give it, like, this is the kind of spot and where these reviews are helpful. It doesn't matter if you get called if it's a good bluff, right? Like, we'll look at it in GTO Wizard. Maybe GTO Wizard doesn't like this line, right? But I think this is a good bluff. I think this is a good play. And it's an adult play. And he calls. Fuck. He just didn't want to fold kings, did he? We're going to have a shitload for value. This is the kind of spot where I don't think I worry too much about it because I'm just going to have 7-4, 7-9, 7s, 4s. 10 jack suited, 10-6 suited, 5-6 suited, and I'm just like, well, I've got so much for value. You know, if we give up, we're not always going to barrel our 9x of clubs, our 8x of clubs, our ace-x of clubs, you know, so then we get to the river, and if you consider how much, if you're bluffing correctly, and you're not massively over bluffing, if you consider what you're going to bluff and what you're going to value bet, it's almost unfortunate that you have a bluff, if that makes sense. Okay, so we go for the check raise with queen 10 suited, and villain is just calling the kings. Then comes the 8 of diamonds, and we are having big bets and some half pot bets here. And Queen 10 suited is kind of indifferent. We're kind of mixing range. So, you know, sometimes we're going to trap with these hands. Even 10 jack traps a little bit. So actually, yeah, we have 10 jack offsuit as well a lot of the time with the club. Like when we have the jack of clubs or the 10 of clubs, we'll check raise the flop a lot. So we have a lot of 10 jack off with the club, which I forgot to even mention. Does kings ever fold the turn? Look at that. Kings with a club folds the turn pure and then calls without a club in a GTO sense. That's fucking so interesting. And look at the EV here in calling kings. 0.7 big blinds. 0.7 big blinds worth of EV to be calling kings. Only the combos that it calls. Overall, it's 0.32. Whereas obviously you look at nutted hands like 10 jacks, 50 big blinds of EV. That is absolutely insane. So yeah, kings is actually folding sometimes on the turn. So what'll happen now is it's probably never ever going to fold on a brick. Is it a 7 of hearts? And so it doesn't want to bluff this, which sucks. But like solvers choose weird lines. It doesn't even have a necessarily all in. Like it doesn't want to shove all that much. It prefers 60%. But here it's using like Jack 6 suited, Jack 5 suited a bit more. Because I guess having a 4 blocks some full houses. So Jack 4, okay, Jack 4 it barely has. So it's using like Jack 5 and Jack 6 suited. Okay, yeah, it's using Queen 10 off with a club. So it's actually better. I guess it's better to have not 2 clubs because you don't really want to block clubs. So like Queen 10 with a club, you at least unblock the other club, right? So like when you have Queen 10 with the Queen of clubs, you're going to block 10x of clubs. When you have Queen 10 with the 10 of clubs, you're going to unblock Queen X of clubs. So Queen 10 off, Queen Jack off. So it uses Queen Jack suited though, but just not Queen 10 suited. So versus the shove here. Wow, villain is supposed to pure fold kings in a GTO sense. Because he has so much better hands. And you won't really see this a lot. The main reason why you will not see this a lot is because when your opponent has hands like 9-7 or 8-9 or 7-8 or 10 jack, they're going to raise the turn a lot. The reason they don't raise with kings is because it's not strong enough to raise with kings. They're bluff catching. They're pure bluff catching. But when they have a set here, when they have 7s, because how wet the board is, they're just going to shove a lot on the turn. You know, when they have 4s, they're just going to shove a lot on the turn. So that's why you're seeing kings like not fold, because they don't have many better hands, because they'll just end up calling the river. That's a really interesting hand, that one. And honestly, I think your bluff's good. Alright, King Jack suited. We open, we get 3-bet. This guy is a reg. I've played a lot of hands with him. As of you, it seems 2k. So this is a mix in GTO land. I think it's 60-40 that we 4-bet 60% of the time and call 40% of the time. That is assuming that we use a 2 big blind raise. He uses 6.5, I think. But I still take it as whatever, especially when he's 3-betting like 10%. Go for the call, which I don't really love, just being, out of position with this hand against like an aggressive reg. But we can't just go around folding or, 4-betting range, so kind of going to be put in these uncomfortable spots. Continuing, I think just in the form of a call makes sense. I do want to see what GTO does here on this flop, how it reacts with certain hands. I think villain c-bet's bigger in general. 10 jack suited, we go for the same line and we go for the call. If we're just doing this a lot against like some of the more regular players, we're gonna have a bad time. So we don't want to be doing this too much, I don't think. We go for the bluff with the king jack of clubs. I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm checking king queen just because it is the nut nothing and we'll beat some king jack queen jack. Not having hearts is good, I guess, because still some of his hands you can have like 10x of hearts and might not see all that much we want to bluff. If we can have king jack of clubs, we can have king jack of spades. I think he will have some ace x of spades here that can shove, like ace 5 of spades, ace queen, ace jack of spades can all take this line. I'll have a look at this spot because I'd like to see what we are supposed to bluff raise with. What we're supposed to bluff here, sorry. And again, do you see a pattern of all these kind of boards we get though with these type of hands, and when we're out of position, how hard it is to realize equity? For example, if he bets the turn on the right hand side, we just have to fold, right? And then same will go on the left hand side when we likely call the flop. I think I might prefer raising this on the left. No, maybe not. And even now we're out of position with Jack high. What are we going to want to do on this turn? We go for the shove. I think this is probably okay at a frequency. I wonder if King X is better to shove with, because if he has... Yeah, he shouldn't really have King Queen of diamonds here, so... Maybe he's got like King 9 of diamonds and just calls it off though. Although we should be folding. I don't mind this on the turn. And then the thing is, what I think you need to realize is that you need to be having... If you're going to do this with these bluffs, you need to make sure that you're having some value as well. That we need to have 7s at a frequency, which I don't think you do, because I think you just check raise the flop of 7s. We need to have ace queen at a frequency, which I don't think you do. So like if people are paying attention when you come against a better regs, I see this turn and I'm just like, okay, shoved, and I'm like, well, I guess he's just got like ace 4 for value and that's it. Like a few combos. Does he even call that? Because I think you check raise your stronger hands on the flop. It's kind of hard for him to have that many obvious bluffs. I guess like King Jack and Jack, we block a lot of his bluffs, I think. You know, his bluffs are going to be King Jack, King 10, 10 Jack. Nah. Yeah, absolutely snapped off as well by ace king. He plays very like face up and kind of obvious, smart guy. It's kind of like your standard nit reg. Like, which isn't even that bad in these pools. That'll probably make money overall, but... I can't really see him turning up with that many bluffs here in these spots. A little on the more snug side. Drill it. King of diamonds. Easy. Let's have a look at both these spots. Yeah, 2 versus 6.5. So pre-flop, wow, look at it. At this rake structure, sorry, I've been looking at the 500 rake, where we're allowed to call a lot more because the rake's lower. This is just like 4-betting like so fucking often. Ace 10 deuce, we check. And, okay, villain does have this small bet, this like 20%, but they are checking 42% of the time. I don't think you'll see that all that often. And so we have some raises with, yeah, it just prefers King Jack of hearts and King Jack of spades. It's just, bluff raises are just equity driven here. It does raise King Queen of clubs though. Versus the small size, this is obviously assuming it's 20% size, but it does call. And the term was what? Was it the 8 of spades? Villain's supposed to check 50% of range. I do think on this kind of board, though, they're just always going to bet their ace kings. They're probably their ace queens. I mean, their ace 10-10s are obviously just fist bump bets regardless, but... checks back, and river comes to 6 of spades. And what are we bluffing with here? So, we've got some overbets. We've got some small bets. We've got some 85% bet. So, in terms of what we're bluffing, it is bluffing King Jack of clubs. It's picking a small size, though. And Queen Jack, it's bluffing even more often. But it's picking a small size, and that's kind of the difference. You know, when we bet the big size, we're representing, like, you know, a flush or whatever. When we bet the small size, we can still have hands like Ace Jack, right? Ace Jack, Ace Queen, Ace 5 suited. Nope, that's just checking. Apart from spades, which is all in. You don't have to, like, I don't want you guys to think as well that are watching that you have to, like, follow this strategy and do everything a solver says, because you don't even necessarily have to have like 10% bets, 34% bets, 84% bets, and 150% bets. But your range, different parts of your range does want to do different things. More for me is just, I will consider what I'm trying to represent when I bluff a river and how often I'm going to have those hands. So, you know, if I know that I'm going to have a load of flushes, I'm going to bet, especially when I block the flushes. If I know I'm not going to have that many flushes, or I'm not going to have that many strong hands, I might bluff for like half pot or whatever. And it depends on what I'm trying to target as well, right? If I bet 3/4 pot, is he ever going to fold ace queen, ace jack? No. If I bet 3/4 pot, is he going to fold a 10? Maybe. What if I bet a third, is he going to fold a 10? Probably not. So let's have a look at this one. So it might just fold this pre, to be honest, at this rake structure. So let's have a look at hijack. It's got a little bit of call, but it's primarily folding. Any spots like this, it's going to be 0 EV, and... honestly, you could probably just get away with folding against tighter players. Anyway, the board is different. It was ace, queen, 7, rainbow. So, we check. Villain is, again, going to have a lot of these small bets, which makes sense. And then we are kind of raising most of the time. The problem with this is that we're supposed to have king, queen that raises a bit. Ace, jack, ace, 10. Ace, 5 raises a bit. Raising a surprisingly large amount, really. It's actually raising more than we call, which is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, kind of prefers raise, but call is okay. And then the turn came the 4 of diamonds. Villain has some overbets, mainly big bets when they do bet. We don't have really any raises. A little bit of ace queen, kind of nonsense. Then jack just pure folds unless it's diamonds, and then it pure call. So it doesn't like to shove here. Anyway, yeah, it's just, I mean, you managed to win both of these hands as well, like, by flatting out a position. I really don't know what to say, because you can't really just 4-bet everything. You can't really just fold everything. But you're just going to have a bad time being out of position. Yeah, we're going for the 3-bet with ace-5 offsuit, which is interesting. Maybe you've been looking at your GTO wizard ranges. Again, it does go bigger than this. You know, it 3-bets polar, so it goes bigger. The reason being is, you know, we're maximizing fold equity with our weak hands, our ace-5 offs, our queen-3 suited, and then we're just getting value. We're trying to get a lot in the middle with hands like aces and kings. I don't mind this every now and then. I'm not really sure about this. I guess this is just like, you know, you just like a third with range and hope he folds. He connects with this so well that small bet's not going to do the trick. Think about all of his hands that he's going to have. He's going to have a load of pocket pairs. He's going to have suited connectors. He's going to have suited broadways. And he's going to have hands like ace queen and stuff like that. How many of those are going to fold to this small bet? 7s can call. 8s, 9s, 3s, all sets. Right? Ace queen of clubs. Ace queen of diamonds. Ace jack of diamonds. Ace 10 of diamonds. They ain't going nowhere. 10 jack suited. 6 7 suited. 7 8 suited. Queen jack suited. King queen suited with the backdoor flush draw. All of these hands can call. I'm probably just check folding. I think this is just such a shit board, even though it just seems kind of inconsequential, right? It's like when I talked about the king eye board earlier, the king 8 deuce being like the best example of like disconnected. It doesn't seem, if you put king 8 deuce rainbow and this board next to each other, they don't seem like there's that much difference between them, but there's fucking such a difference, man. This board, there's just so much going on for the button. I want to see what GTO Wizard does. Like, surely it's just going to have really big bets and checks. Yeah, 75% and check, basically. Never this small bet. And then when we bet the big bet, just look how much continues, man. It's folding 40%, but honestly, these hands aren't even in there pure either. Like, king 6 suited's probably not in there. I mean, 4 5 and stuff is, but just gets to continue so much. Ace jack and king queen off might not even be in there. Ace queen calls at a frequency versus 75%. So it's not really going to work if we put on the small bet. But if we do, he's supposed to fold 15% of the time. But do you see how bad this small bet is? Even though it just seems like, okay, yeah, I've got nothing. I'm going to see if he folds. King 10, king jack. The only one that folds is the fucking hearts, which doesn't have a backdoor flush draw, and that doesn't even fold at full frequency. So yeah, it's not surprising to me to see that we are, you know, only supposed to bet really big here or check. And even then, like, when we bet big, he's continuing more than half the time. So I think this is kind of a board where you've just got to hold your hands up and be like, all right, you win. Or not necessarily you win, but like, I'm check folding this flop. I think this is a really bad c-bet. And the turn just connects with his range a lot now. Oh no, we're in random barrel territory here. This is shit. This is terrible. This is just like, this is just button clicking. And obviously it gets through. Your hand doesn't do anything good in terms of blockers or unblockers, really. You know, he's got like king jack suited, ace jack suited. I mean, we block ace jack suited, that's something. He's got queen 10, he's got 10 jack, he's got all that kind of shit. Maybe there's argument because we went small, we can bet more on the turn as bluffs because we've kept his range wide. So he's going to have hands like 6s, 5s, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, this is just like random barrel territory. Like, I really don't like this. And it gets through, but again, it's not the point. It's like when I said this is why, like, I think it's useful to get your session reviewed or like to talk with other people about hands and stuff, because I think this is shit, but you won the pot. I thought the queen 10 of clubs earlier was really good and you lost a stack. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a fucking whale. Who knows? I don't know, man. This it doesn't feel good. Whenever you're in a spot where it just doesn't feel good, there's no way this feels good to bet flop and turn, right? Whenever you're in that really unintuitive spot and it feels like, just don't do it. 9-5 suited, we defend. Now, Adam told me about a hand. He said 9-5 suited. He said, I don't care how much of the video I review, as long as I review the 9-5 suited. Okay. Let's just see what happens here. Well, I guess we're going to pull the trigger on the river. Honestly, I don't hate it. Pre-flop. Probably okay, maybe a little bit loose, theoretically, but I don't mind it versus a min raise. Yeah, okay, I don't mind the flop call. It's a bit loose just because, again, going back to multi-way, difficult to realize your equity, blah, blah, blah. We do have the backdoor flush draw, though, backdoor straight draws. Kinda sucks, but I'm okay with it. The turn we go for the check raise, so this is the thing. Do you know what? I don't even hate it, because if we're going to have bluffs, like, I don't mind this. We're kind of low down in range. He's not going to have that many 4x. I guess he's got pocket 4. The thing is, he really shouldn't be betting a lot of hands that aren't a straight here, or a set, right? And this guy looks like a fish. We don't want to try and get fish to fold hands that are a straight or a set. We don't want to try and get a fish to fold good hands. As played by the river, I think I'm okay with the all-in. Like, I think I'm actually okay with the all-in. Not having a 7 or an 8 is good, because unblocking 7-8 is good. Now, I know a pair of 5s is better than 8 high. We have a better hand than 7-8, but we're out of position. If we check, he's going to fire in his 7-8, and we shouldn't really be calling. So, unblocking 7-8 is something. Blocking 4-5 suited is something, because his only 4x hand should be like ace-4 suited, 5-4 suited, and pocket 4s. Can't block pocket 4s, so you can only unblock the other ones. So, it's not the worst hand of choice. Maybe fucking, I don't know, ace-5 suited would be better for that reason. And then by the river, like, the king means that if he's got a hand like 8s or 9s or 7s, especially, because 7s can still improve to a straight, I'm going to go out and say that this is fine, but I would never, ever do this. So I don't really know what to say about it. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's fucking... I feel like there's no way it's like GTO, but like... yeah, whatever. We'll take it. And let's see if he calls. The thing is, if he calls a hand like 8s or anything like that, then you can't do this. Yeah, not having a 7s in your hand's good as well, because you could have like 6-7, pocket 7s, stuff like that. Like if he calls light here, then it's such a punt. I know we don't know information on this guy, but look, guys like this that flat and then they're playing 36% of hands. I'm not trying to bluff these guys. I'm trying to get my EV from other spots. I'm trying to bluff the fucking stains on the game. Yeah, I'm trying to fucking value bet a set against a guy like this. I'm not trying to bluff him. Oh my fuck! What? I'm just done. I quit poker, and I quit these fucking reviews, man. This is in the top 3 most retarded hands I've seen in over a decade of playing poker. What we can say is this: my man called ace 10, and we were not value betting, right? We were bluffing. We're not merging. We're not trying to get some better hands to fold and some worse hands to call. We are bluffing. This guy just called you with ace high. So how shit was your bluff? 10-7, we defend. Against big bets here, we might actually fold in a GTO sense. I'm not even happy calling versus half pot. We just have to fold on every turn that isn't a 10 or a 7, really. Or do we? It's, again, one of them spots where a hand like 10-7 of clubs, you unblock a lot of the bluffs that you can have, right? Like queen, jack, ace, queen, heart, stuff like that. But it's just a pair of 10s, and there's no real way to... You got 2 outs to improve. I don't know. I'm just like folding this. I guess against some opponents, I'll flick in the call, but then we just have grim decisions on river. Like, please... So he really shouldn't have... Like, ace, jack, and ace, queen should really bluff here. Maybe some 9x of hearts should check back, but you should really have, like, the best hand a lot here when he bets turn. And another thing as well, you'll see some opponents bet hands like ace 10 here. And so if they do that, then your call on the turn is terrible. Fuck off. Honestly, these fucking stains. Why are you checking? Oh, queen jack gets there. I unblock it. I unblock, like, what if we've got fucking 8-9 of hearts? I'll tell you what though, right? Unironically, if people are just pure giving up rivers, call in turn prints money. The reason why that we have to fold the turn as well, right? Because we can't just call everything on the turn, because we're going to have to let go of some hands on the turn and let go of some hands on the river. Just fucking call it. If nobody bluffs the river, you can just call the turn and then fold every single river. I guess the thing is he still has equity with this hand. He still has 2 overs and a gut shot, right? So Even on this turn when we have the best of it, he still has 12 outs. Nope. He still has 10 outs. Quick maths. And that's going to be about it for today. So, overall, I think pre-flop was fine. Honestly, you played a lot better than I expected you to be honest. I just expected to maybe not have studied that much or not have that much experience in the game. So I just figured that, you know, pre-flop might be like way too loose. I think the ace-6 suited pre-flop was bad. I think that if you're always calling 10-jack suited and king-jack suited and shit out of position, especially against regs, you're going to have a bad time. But, like, you know, theoretically, it's not terrible. And intuitively, you kind of want to call those hands. The 9-5 suited was just an absolutely ridiculous hand. I don't think you should do it, though. As soon as you see that, you realize the guy's an absolute whopper. Like, I know you didn't have that information on him before, but, like, I don't know, man. If you're bluffing people like that, you're going to have a bad time. Yeah, in terms of bluffing, I think probably over bluffing. Probably bluffing too much, just in a lot of ways where just seemed like if you didn't have showdown or whatever, you'd just be like, oh, you didn't have a lot of showdown. You're just like, okay, I'm going to bluff. And it'll work against some opponents, it really will. But just, especially with these size-ins, again, just look at what you are trying to represent, you know? When we bet pot with the 8-6 of clubs, I think maybe betting smaller, just trying to represent more hands. Try and think what you would credibly have for value. But yeah, you're probably winning these pools, especially against some of the fucking stone nets.